Picture this. You're at your console or your PC at 12 midnight, finding games to play, scrolling in your library and in an endless amount of sales at your store page. But there's nothing that's catching your interest. So, you went to YouTube and find games to watch all night, but again, nothing. And then you might have stumbled in this video, wondering what I'm gonna say because of the title. Hi, this is Musin, and here's why the current state of gaming is saddening. So, let's start with a heads up. This is not a statistical research that took months to prepare. I just thought of it while showering and got immediately hooked on this topic. And also, I'm mainly focusing on AAA games. Let's start with our first gaming experience. I grew up playing God of War 2 and One Piece Grand Adventure on my PlayStation 2. And those are my earliest memories of gaming. And these memories for sure are different from you guys. But what is something that in common to us back then despite playing a different game at a different console and at a different ages and years? Well, it's the feeling that you are at your peak. Let's reminisce for a while. You are probably a grade schooler discovering so many games in its giant libraries, or a high school student playing Grand Theft Auto and Call of Duty. Or maybe you are a college student playing The Last of Us for the first time and discovering Japanese role-playing games like Persona and Final Fantasy. Regardless on what you remember right now, it feels like there's an endless possibilities back then. Because there are. The abundance of games back then is so ridiculous you could create millions of game combinations that could have shaped your childhood as a gamer. And it's ridiculous. Let's use the PlayStation as an example. In PS2's life cycle, there's a total of 4,000 games that were released in the system. And it's not your average 4,000 games that were released back then. There's some heavy hitter games back then, like Grand Theft Auto 3, Vice City, and San Andreas being the biggest example. There's also God of War, Tekken 5, Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater, Final Fantasy X, and Gran Turismo 4. I could go on forever. And the point is, there's a lot of games, and that amount of games leads to my second point. The feeling that you could game forever.
I can do this all day.
Come on, admit it. There's a part of your life, a moment, where you thought to yourself while playing your favorite games that you could do this forever. And you could have. Well, at the moment, well, we thought of that because we are students, there's a lot of free times on our hands, and we value our video games so much that we put a lot of time on it. And I agree. I agree with the sentiment. I do still think till now that and that thought is so powerful. It is such a powerful thing to say because it shows your passion towards video games. And this passions leads towards the current frustrations that I will discuss later on. But before that, let's also discuss the joy of gaming. Let's talk about the calm before the storm, or what I would like to think as the calm before the storm. When PS3 and PS4 arrived, all I can say is, wow. For me, the era of PS2 is basically the pinnacle of gaming. It has the best graphics, the best gameplay, the best stories, and they were able to innovate far from what the PS2 did. When the PS3 was released, there's also the release of Assassin's Creed, The Last of Us, Grand Theft Auto 5, God of War 3, Batman Arkham Knights, Skyrim, and well, Dark Souls. And so, the landscape of gaming was slowly changing, finally reaching the perfect formula. And this would go on more in the future, with Batman Arkham Knights being the perfect formula for combat, Skyrim and Assassin's Creed for the open world and the game loop that would soon be outdone by The Witcher 3, but again, same formula, and the cinematic and narrative innovation that The Last of Us did. It was crazy. Because there's so many companies taking notes of this and Also, a lot of similar ideas being born at the same time, creating a bunch of games being similar to what games ultimately succeeded back then. And of course, you might think that, oh, there's so many things like this before too, and there is. Way, way back. And of course, there's also the genre that caters to a specific content who does these things, that things. So, we really can't criticize what the game company does because of the genre that they cover. So, if they get the perfect formula, what is so saddening about the current state of gaming? Well, more on that later. We continue this trend playing games with a somewhat similar game loop to the games I have mentioned before, even in the PlayStation 4 era. It was great. There's a lot of games being released in PlayStation 4 such as, well, Ghost of Tsushima, God of War 2018, Horizon Zero Dawn, and Marvel's Spider-Man. And it was great. It was fun. And it feels great because as we grow old, video games become better. It is as if video games are growing old with us. The PlayStation 4 gave us the best games, especially in technical aspects. The almost real graphics, the way our controller reacts to our surroundings, the smoothness of playing a game, the gameplays, oh my god, the gameplays. The gameplays is the best. It is the best feeling ever. And as I finish more games, I look forward to more, hungry for more games to play. Excited and anticipating every game on the horizon until the COVID. This tragedy impacted the world so much. We thought it'll be over in 2 weeks, but the weeks turned into a month, 6 months, until we eventually got accustomed to this self-isolation and lockdowns. And of course, this put the release of games into a halt, some getting pushed back and delayed for a very long time. But a lot of people went in to ride with us, started video games as well, and so many people bought Animal Crossing or started playing Persona or Final Fantasy VII Remake or played The Last of Us Part 2. Gaming went strong. Gaming pulled people from boredom. Gaming gave a lot of people a chance to have fun in those lonely months. But it's still COVID. We don't get game releases lately and it's declining, but we got back up, right? We did. But it takes us a lot of time now. It feels like just yesterday we just had God of War, Spider-Man, and Red Dead Redemption 2 on the same year. Why does it feel like we can't find any good games anymore? And these questions, it puzzles me a lot, honestly. I can't seem to grasp the right answer. But I think there's two reasons for that. As to answer, you can only decide what's the answer. It can be neither, either, or both. There's no right or wrong answers here. This is what you believed in. This is what you are going to hold on to by the end of this video. For me, this is why the current state of gaming is saddening. For me, the very first reason is gaming fatigue. I have mentioned earlier that we found the perfect formula, but overuse that same formula, then you'll find your audience getting tired of your game. Personally, I am tired of doing side quests where I go to point A to point B for something, or that I have to climb towers in order to unlock a part of a map. I also hate games where microtransactions is more of a gameplay than the actual gameplay in itself. I hate it when combat feels awfully familiar despite being a new game, and I hate it when there are parts that are a complete padding to the game, because it's tiring. Having that in mind, despite having a lot of releases lately, I feel like there's no game to play. And I would just casually scroll down to YouTube and not just buy any games at all, or I would put a twist on a game, a challenge run if you will, which is one of my main contents in this channel, to put a thrill and actually gain a new perspective to what I'm currently playing. The second reason is games are bigger this time and take a lot longer to develop. Believe it or not, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas was 4.2 gigabytes and Grand Theft Auto 5 recommends you to have 120 gigabyte in your storage. 120 gigabyte in your storage. And if that didn't mean anything to you, what I'm trying to say is that games takes really long to develop now. Especially to those companies who's trying to innovate and change the gaming scene forever. Heck, we might even have the new perfect formula for the next generations of gaming, and we don't really have a choice but to wait. And waiting isn't really that hard now. We talked about this earlier, how we grew up playing games and how it grew up with us, and we're probably busier now, right? And this are the other reasons as well. One of the reasons is maybe we may not have enough time to play games. And maybe that feeling leads you trying to find a good game so that it could scratch that itch, that frustrations or stress, which is basically or almost impossible to you right now, making it extra frustrating for you. It's also tiring and draining. Maybe you find multiplayer games or those games that have microtransactions and gachas tiring and draining because of their repetitive nature. And I'm just laying possibilities in front of you to help you realize why is it really saddening. For me personally, those two reasons are the biggest reasons why I feel this way. You know, the very reason why I made this video in the first place. And yeah. So what can we take from this video? Well, I have mentioned before that I will only discuss AAA games for a reason. I have realized that gaming is a journey in itself and not just the journey we partake in inside of a said game. It's not just a world of The Last of Us or God of War or Final Fantasy VII. I think there's a whole world, a whole new journey we can venture in this massive world of gaming. When we talk about gaming as a whole, the first thing that comes to mind is, well, League of Legends, Dota, Fortnite, Minecraft, Valorant, Genshin Impact, Grand Theft Auto, God of War, Last of Us, but we unconsciously ignore the indie games that is a new experience in itself. A breath of fresh air, a new point of view, a new perspective, and a new journey. Maybe that push we only need is the word, I'll try this. I have brought this topic up and I guess I have to be the one in the front who actively tries the variety of video games because I love it. And everyone, I would just like to say that I am trying and I'm hoping that you also will. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, if you want more content out of me, please subscribe. Okay? It's free. You can always change your mind later. And if you like the video, please smash that like button. And actually guys, I'm planning to release this video at my very first month in YouTube. At my very first month of creating content. So this is very special to me. So yeah, if it doesn't really bother you too much, if you think I am, well, if you think that I'm deserving enough for a subscribe and a like, then please do so. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for watching this video and see you on the next one. Peace. Did you know that I like saying see you on the next one? Then peace is because I love One Piece.